had this been in the Masjid Nabawi, then the Prophet ﷺ would have known. He got married elsewhere. So yes, the best is that if you can get married in the mosque, by all means do get married in the mosque. But don't go all vigilante on this and say, no, you have to get married in the mosque and I am not going to get married anywhere else, because at the end of the day, it's not only about you. So many people are coming from so far away. There are also logistical problems. So think practical, don't always think ideal. And how do you greet the married couple? The Prophet ﷺ used to say, Barakallahu lakuma wa alaykuma wa jama'a baynakuma bil khair. Okay? And then we've got one last session. We're actually on time, which is happily ever after, and then we'll finish. Okay? Is there any question? And then I'll do all the questions at the end. Now.
Yeah, some people, they
hurry up.
They spend a lot of money on the quality of food. Are they allowed to do that? For example,
if it's in their capability,
right.
If it's in the capability, come on, you don't go around kind of, getting caviar for everybody. If it's in their capability, then fine, do it. You shouldn't let it burden you. You shouldn't let it burden you.
Are you allowed to say you've got the capability and you want to buy it? Really like it?
Because it's a da'wah, it's a da'wah that you give it. There's no limits to a da'wah.
Should we seek out poor people to invite, especially?
You should. Okay. You just tell them to wear nice clothes. Or give them nice clothes. Okay, we'll have a 15 minutes break. I'm just going to take some questions from the sisters, because the piling up on the Quran has to be contextualized with how it was revealed and how we can apply it today. However, saying this, unanimously all of the ulama, even those ulama who are of the opinion that you can marry more than one woman at a time, they are of the opinion that if a person for the sake of marrying, if a person for the sake of making his first wife happy, he does not get married to somebody else, then that is a big mujahada and that is a big ibadah. And I always say to them, why do you marriage, like I said, it's a rose bush but with many thorns. Why do you want to get more thorns onto yourself for anyway? So my personal opinion is that it should be contextualized and the hukum of it is not as wide as people think of it. It's a thing of education. Well, the next question is the big day. Some people argue about when the nikah should take place. Example, some say it should be before the wedding day. Some say it must be on the wedding day. What is best? Also, if the nikah is done prior to the wedding day, do you do the wedding feast that day or when the bride leaves her home? Please explain the process of nikah. That is something which is very idiosyncratic. That is something which is how the people, there's no kind of fit. This is something which I was going to mention. If you look at page 7, where it says consolidation stage, and top of that it says engagement, nikah with deferred consummation. Okay, I actually forgot to discuss this on page 7, engagement, nikah with deferred consummation, where some people actually, they do the nikah and then 7 months later they have the wedding and they have the consummation. So they've done the nikah. So now, especially this is found in the Arab tradition, and I think maybe it will work in this day and age, where the Arabs, what they do is when a boy and a girl, when they want to get to know each other and see how each other's temperament and are they compatible or not, what the Arabs they do is they basically make it legit, and the families they get together and they have a nikah. Okay, so Islamically they do nikah, the ijab and qabul and everything, the contract is done, the mahar and everything is done, and now they're actually husband and wife. But socially, the only thing that they're not allowed to do is they're not allowed to consummate the marriage. Okay, that's the only thing that the parents request. If they do that from an Islamic point of view, if they go to a hotel and they consummate the marriage, from an Islamic point of view, there's nothing wrong with that, because they are husband and wife. But socially, they're expected not to do that. And for about six months, what they do is that they just go out on a date with each other, and they just get to know each other without being chaperoned, because they don't need to be chaperoned anymore. They are, in the Islamic sense, literally a husband and wife. So they go out with each other, they go to pizza places, and they go to McDonald's, and they go to Dunkin' Donuts, or all these American places in Egypt, and they just chill out. They go on a Nile ride, and you go to the pyramids, they ride the camels, and everything. They do everything like a husband and wife, and they just get to know each other. Okay, and some of them, it works out for them, and others they say, nah, she's not my type, right? And they break it off. And once they break it off, because no consummation has happened, it just becomes faskhun nikah. It doesn't actually become like kind of a full-fledged talaq. It's, and Egyptian law recognizes that it was an annulment and not a divorce. Sorry? Sorry, is it not working? So did the sisters miss all that bit that I was answering the question?
30 seconds.
Here I am answering the sisters' questions on Can you just find out, Junaid, if the sisters did get all that?
You missed the last 30 seconds.
Or they missed the last 30 seconds. What was the last 30 seconds? Yeah, so sometimes basically what they do is that they go out together and then they just see if they're compatible. I mean, that's something which is not found in our community, but in the Arab community, everybody allows it. So as for the sister's question about when should the nikah be done, should it be done on the day of the nikah or should it be done afterwards, then ideally what should happen is that you have the nikah, you have the wedding celebration, and you visit off to your house and you happily, married, happily living ever after, or whatever you want to call it, right? That's ideally the sunnah way of doing it. So you have the nikah, you have the walima, and you take your wife, and that's it really. But I mean, if people want to kind of have a kind of deferred relationship, then Islamically there's nothing wrong, as long as it's not zulm on any of the party, as long as you're not doing injustice to the guy or you're not doing injustice to the girl. And because remember, once they're married, once the nikah has been done, there isn't anything stopping them from consummating the marriage. You see, so that is something which families have to decide. The potential bride and groom has to decide. There is no clear-cut answer, but the sunnah way is to have the nikah, have the walima straight away, walima, I mean wedding ceremony, and have and then take your bride. That's the sunnah way. And some people also, if the nikah is prior to the wedding day, do you do the wedding feast that day? Or I mean, some members of our family, what they've done is they've had nikah prior to their wedding. So when it was a nikah, when the nikah was done, they just had kind of the two families got together and they just had kind of a little feast, commemorating the nikah. And then when the actual wedding took place, wedding is when the ceremony and that's when when the bride goes to the groom's house, then they had a full-fledged. That's when you open it out. Remember, one of the things in the nikah, one of the main reasons why we need to have, I mean, people can, in seclusion, they can have the nikah, get an imam and two witnesses, and they can have that if they want. But the whole purpose of a wedding ceremony, is so that people know that these guys are legit. Somebody can just get married to somebody, and then when they go out, people might think these guys are girlfriend and boyfriend, and people start talking. Your honor is at stake. The woman's honor is at stake. It goes against the maqasid, the sharia. Can the sisters hear? In fact, Imam Malik in his mazhab, so this is the Maliki mazhab, so don't take this, I'm just explaining. Imam Malik in his mazhab, he is of the opinion that you don't actually need two witnesses. Imam Malik says you don't need two witnesses to witness the nikah. But what Imam Malik says is that somebody needs to get on top of a donkey with a drum and go bang, bang, bang all over the town and say, he, Abdul Salam and his wife are married today. So you have to do ishtihar, you have to go round and round and round, and let everybody know. And in the Maliki countries, like in Morocco and things like that, they do that, not that you don't know when a nikah is happening in the Arab places, you know from 5-mile radius, but sometimes when there's a nikah happening and sometimes when there's a funeral happening, you don't know which one's happening. They both seem the same. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, so you need to have the wedding reception so that people know that these people are married and people don't have badzan or people don't kind of think that, something dodgy is happening here. And the process of nikah, we're just going to go through that right now. So we will, no, actually, we